is Kiana Brienne. Welcome back to the House of Trauma podcast, where we talk about all things trauma, healing, and self-love. So I want to talk about being vulnerable. Yeah, we're going to get into it. Vulnerable. I always love to look up definitions of words, even if I know what they are. I have an understanding of them, but I feel like when I look up the exact definition, it gives me a better understanding. Does that make sense? I'm a mess. Okay, so to be vulnerable is vulnerable is an adjective susceptible to physical or emotional attack or harm. Say that again. Vulnerable, adjective, meaning susceptible to physical or emotional attack or harm. So when I think of vulnerable, I definitely think of an emotional attack or harm, because I'm just so guarded. Life has made me this way. I feel like I'm always living in my masculine energy, and I hate to say it, but it's true. I feel like I'm always I don't want to say on edge, because on edge makes me feel like I'm tense or something. Okay, I'm on edge. I'm always just I have my guard up. I'm always wondering about if somebody has ulterior motives. I'm always giving them the side eye. I'm not wanting to give the benefit of the doubt. I just hate being vulnerable. And I don't even like that I'm sharing this right now, but that's what this is all about. So here I am. The fear of being vulnerable. So let's just unpack this for a moment, because who else is like me that hates being vulnerable or showing any signs of weakness? Because to me, vulnerability equals weakness. Absolutely. I don't care how you spin it. It does. But I think that weak or weakness has such a negative connotation behind it that it's oh, hell no, I ain't weak, I ain't vulnerable, I'm not doing this. But, and this is from my own personal experience, I had to learn the hard way to let go of control. And for me, letting go of control in any situation, whether it's personal, professional, whatever, to let go of any type of control means it's putting me in a place of vulnerability. I'm allowing someone else to have the upper hand. I'm allowing someone else to take the lead. I'm allowing someone else to call the shots, and I'm just kind of, sitting back. And if you know me, that ain't even my style at all. I need to be in charge. I need to be at the forefront. 90%, if not more, of my professional career, I was in retail management. Why? Because I like to be in control. I like to be in charge, and not on the sense of having a power trip or, something like that. But I strongly believe that I'm going to do it better than everybody else. So let me just handle it. When I give people control in any way, even if we split in the control 50-50, I'm always wondering what you gonna do with your half of control. Please tell me. And I used to take pride in it, an excessive amount of pride in always being in charge, always being in control, until I realized just like everything else, it has its pros and cons. And I also realized that my lack of vulnerability gave a false impression of who I really was and what I really needed in this life. So follow me. I've always been the strong friend. Y'all know the strong friend. Somebody came to your mind, even if it was you. But everybody can't be the strong friend. I've always been the strong friend, but not just the strong friend. I've always been the strong one, the strong sibling, the strong manager, the strong daughter. And these people aren't wrong to think this of me. or expect me to be the strong one all the time. It was my lack of vulnerability, or at least wanting to display any type of emotion, or again, I'm gonna come back to weakness, because I feel like that if I showed my vulnerable side at any moment in time with any relationship that I had, whether it was a friendship, a family member, a significant other, if I gave them, or I felt like if I gave anybody even a hint that I was vulnerable, even a hint that I was weak, even a hint that I needed their help at all, I felt like they had the power over me. And I was just not having that. Please, I would rather roll over and die than give somebody the power over me. And I realized, and really not that long ago, that it was a trauma response. Me always wanting to be in control. Me always refusing to show that I was in distress or needed help in any way, shape, or form. And that's with anybody, friends, families, foes, managers, co-workers. Like, I just refused to show any sign of weakness, even when I was hurting down to my core. I refused. And it's a trauma response. So a trauma response is basically a coping mechanism that you develop during the presence of a traumatic event. So somewhere along the lines of me experiencing trauma throughout my life, I decided, subconsciously or consciously, I decided that I had to be the strong one. I had to be the fighter. I could not show any vulnerability because it could potentially put me in another situation that leads to a traumatic event. And I know this now. I understand this now. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I don't still have fears surrounded with being vulnerable, because I do. But with the help of God and a lot of shadow work, I'm starting to be more vulnerable. I'm starting to open up more. When things are going wrong in my life, when I'm sad, mad, stressed, depressed, I used to hold those things in. But I'm getting to a place in my life where I realize I'm a stronger, more powerful woman for sharing my vulnerability with other people. And even, if you can believe it, I have to muster up the strength to get on this podcast and even share my story with the world, to share my story with you. I feel vulnerable. Even right now, in this moment. Because the person that I've always shown the world, she didn't cry. She didn't let things faze her. She didn't let people see her sweat, and she damn sure didn't open her heart to share what was really bothering her. And I hate that for the old me. I hate that I was ever in a place where I felt like I couldn't be human. Because that's all it really is. Life is no walk in the park. Nothing in life is easy. And if you've known everything I've been through, you know it's been far from easy. So to walk through life and holding it all in and only sharing it with myself and God, which I want to put out the disclaimer. You should take everything to God first, absolutely. But it got so bad to the point where I would be struggling inside, dying inside, crying inside, and I would still take on other people's burdens. And they didn't know they were burdening me with these things. They didn't know I was dealing with what I was dealing with either, because I refused to share. And again, it's still hard for me, but I'm more comfortable now, and I'm getting more comfortable each day with opening up and sharing my experiences, sharing my thoughts, sharing my feelings with the people around me that have helped me get to even this point to share my feelings with the world. If you are anything like me, which I know that you are if you're listening to this, we are more alike than we probably even imagine. I strongly encourage you to let yourself be vulnerable, to let people in, to not always have your guard up and have this hard outer shell. You're doing yourself a disservice. But just like a lot of things in life, it's easier said than done. And I'm still learning. I'm still growing each day. And I think something that also helps me be able to share certain experiences from my life with the world is that I've met a lot of women, not like a ton, but I've met a few women over the past few years, and we've had conversations, we had vulnerable moments, and I'm just like, wow, I'm not the only one going through this. And I know they feel the same way, like, oh, they're not the only one going through this. One of my good friends, she always say, wow, we really all live the same life. No, seriously. And I think being placed with my soul tribe and, realizing that we're all human, we've all been through things. And when people truly love you and care about you, they care about your well-being. They care about what you've been through, and they care about helping you continue to move through these things. And that's just so super important. I can't stress how important that is, because had I not met these amazing women, had we not shared our stories and our experience with each other, could I still be afraid to be vulnerable? Yeah, potentially, absolutely. And it's a lot. It really is a lot to deal with on a daily basis, because I'm always wondering, does this person really even care? Do they even care? And sometimes it's not even do they care. I'm just like, okay, why would they care? You know what I'm saying? We've all been there. At least I think so. Tell me something. But sometimes I don't want to share my experiences because I don't think they're important enough to other people like they're important to me. Because everything that has happened in my life that shaped my life, whether good, bad, or indifferent, it's important to me, but is it important to other people? And then being considered the strong friend all the time, if they knew exactly what I was dealing with internally, would I still be the strong friend? And I think from taking on that title for so long that it's almost like a badge of honor. And not that it's a bad thing, but I put so much emphasis on being the strong friend that I thought if any of my other friends realized just how emotionally messed up I was, would they still respect me? And not respect me in the sense of, oh, this girl got problems, girl, bye, can't deal with you no more. But would I be the one that everybody turned to? And I think that's also a trauma response. I don't know for a fact, but why did I put so much weight on being the one everybody came to? Everybody. I don't care. If you connected to me and something's wrong, come tell me. I want to help you solve your problems. I want to help you get better. I want to help you find the resources to get out of the situation that you're in. And if they knew that I was dealing with a similar situation or a situation that was worse than theirs, would they come to me for help? And I strongly thought, absolutely not. Is that true? I don't know. Most likely not. But outside of it being true or false, I don't know why I decided to pack up everybody's problems, to pack up everybody's issues and lug around that heavy burden of taking care of everybody else while simultaneously neglecting myself. And it wasn't intentional, but that's exactly what happened. And all in the name of, if I show them I'm vulnerable, they won't come back to me. I can't fix them. Fix them? Baby girl, fix yourself. And I know that now. Back then, I had no clue. And I mean, even now, I do enjoy being the person that people come to for advice. I enjoy when people find inspiration and the way I tackle this thing called life. But there's also room to be that person for them, but to also be that person for me. And in the past, I couldn't find that balance. I couldn't find that balance because I guess I feel like if I was taking care of me more than I was taking care of other people, there it goes again. They see it. You're vulnerable. You're hurting. You're an emotional ruin. And I would just, please. No, I couldn't see it. I was just thinking back then, like I absolutely could not see me being vulnerable in front of anybody. This is so crazy. Because why? I keep asking myself why. But while I'm asking myself why, I'm also asking you why. Why do we do this? Why do we insist on helping other people before helping ourselves? Why are we running from our own traumatic problems just to bandage up somebody else's trauma? It's crazy. Hate to say I've been a people pleaser, but I was absolutely a people pleaser. And as much as I wanted everybody to see me as helpful and kind, people take advantage when you're a people pleaser. And I was taken advantage of in more ways than one. But I also have to look at myself and the role I played in allowing people to take advantage of me while I neglected myself, took on all their problems, helped them with everything, and in turn was left with nothing. Nothing for myself. So now here I am, 28 years old, trying to undo all my trauma, surrounded by, lots of trauma, but at this moment in time, all the trauma surrounded by one thing, the fear of being vulnerable. So, if you suffer like I suffer with just opening up and letting people know everything's not perfect as it may seem. I always tell people, you would never know all I've been through because I make it look so damn good. And people have told me that too. I would never know you were going through all of this. I remember, what year was it? I can't even remember what year it was exactly, but I remember me and my ex were really going through some things, and my best friend came to this baby shower with me, which was my ex, his friend's baby shower. We were all friends, but mainly his friend, right? And I just remember just being so fed up with what he and I had been going through that I ended up storming. I forgot what happened. I ended up storming out of the baby shower. I was getting ready to leave. My best friend was texting me something, and I'm just like, that's not even a problem. You know, she came out to the car. She talked to me, and I don't remember how long we talked, but I was just like, maybe we sat in the car in that moment for like 30 minutes or so, 30, 40 minutes, because she ended up going back into the baby shower, and I went home. But I was just like spilling my guts to her. I'm like, well, this is wrong and that is wrong and this is what I've been going through and I'm so mad at this and da-da-da and this is why this happened and that happened. And I'm just, you know, letting her know everything that had been going on in my relationship that I had been neglecting to tell her, because again, I don't want people to look past my perfect mask and see what's really hurting deep inside. And yeah, we're all hurting, but when I'm hurting, I'm not thinking about, oh, okay, it doesn't matter that you're hurting because everybody hurts. No, I'm thinking about me, myself, and I. So, anywho, I was telling her everything that happened, and then she just looked at me and she's like, oh my God, girl, you are so strong. Like, I would have never known any of this was happening. Like, just looking at you and how you carry yourself on a day-to-day basis, I wouldn't have known anything was wrong. Like, how do you do it? And those words always play in my mind because how do I do it? And I'm not saying that in a bragging way. How do I, time after time, walk through life, go through this world, knowing all the pain that I'm holding inside, and I'll still smile, and I'll still show up, and I'll still do a great job. I'll do a better job than I probably ever did before because I'm trying to get my mind off my problems. But in that moment, I decided to be more transparent with certain things in my life, because to the outside world, it looked like me and this guy had the perfect relationship. And I played a huge role in that illusion. I played a major role in that lie. And in turn, as a result, when I couldn't hold it in anymore, I freaking spazzed out at a baby shower, no less. And now I look like the crazy person because nobody knew what was going on but me and him, but he's a liar. He wasn't going to tell them I pushed her to the edge and that's why she's upset. No. But again, I helped play a role in the illusion that our life was picture perfect, and it wasn't. Because I felt like that if I shared what was going on in my relationship again, it brought me back to being vulnerable. And I didn't want to be that, so much so I wouldn't even tell people what was wrong in certain relationships in my life because I didn't want them to take pity on me. No, this ain't no pity party. I don't do pity parties. Still to this day, I don't do pity parties. But I didn't want anybody to look at me and just be like, damn, poor Kiana. No, I wanted to avoid it at all costs. And in return of me not wanting people to pity me, to feel bad for me, to feel sorry for me, which I still don't know why I just didn't want this, but I didn't. And the end result, again, was me hurting myself. Because besides making a spectacle at the baby shower, because I'll make a spectacle if necessary, when necessary, but I will make a spectacle if necessary. But besides making a spectacle at the baby shower, I was pushed to a breaking point. Because I never want to not be in control of my emotions. And I was so much out of control with my emotions that I couldn't even, it's a time and place for everything. And that was not the time or the place to just completely let loose on this man. But I did it because I had no control in that moment over my emotions, because so much had built up that I blew up. And that was all for what? Because I didn't want people to know what was really going on behind closed doors. And it's not like I needed to yell it from the rooftops and broadcast it all over Twitter. Then my relationship was crumbling before my very eyes. But with my best friend, or with my sisters, or even with my mother, these are women that I love, trust, and admire. And I should be able to be vulnerable with them, because I want people to be vulnerable with me. But it's like, you got to give to the world what you want to receive in the world. So how can I want all these people to come to me for advice, come to me when things are wrong? I'm the one you can confide in. I'm the one you can spill your guts out to. I'm the one you can be vulnerable with, but I'm not giving them that same thing in return. It's crazy. It's crazy. But everything is a learning lesson, a learning experience. I never lose. I only learn lessons. Those are the L's of my life. And I learned a valuable lesson that night sitting in the car with my best friend. I really do put on a show for the world, and not intentionally like I'm trying to make a spectacle or make my life a lie, but I would rather y'all see all the beautiful, amazing sides of me and none of the ugly, dark, traumatic sides of me. But that in itself is no good, because the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, these are all things that make me me. And how much do I really trust you and love you if I can't be vulnerable and honest with you? So to all the amazing women in my life, I'm sorry I didn't trust you enough to be vulnerable in your presence. It is something I truly, please hear me when I say this, I truly struggle with this every day, to this day. But I'm getting better at it. And I know with God's help and consistency, this won't be something I struggle with forever. The fear of being vulnerable. By definition, vulnerable means susceptible to physical or emotional attack or harm. I strongly encourage you, if you struggle with vulnerability, if you have a fear of being vulnerable like I do, that you take the necessary steps to get to a comfortable place where you can be vulnerable. It's nothing to be afraid of, and you'll soon realize that being vulnerable is actually more powerful than you could have ever imagined. My name is Kiana Brienne, and this is the House of Trauma podcast. I'll see you next week.